What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Matt Ryan Show. Ryan Gooden sitting alongside Mr. Matthew Hargrove. We had the Masters finishing up. We've got the NBA play-in tonight. We've got the NBA playoffs starting next week. Got so much to talk about, so much to get into. But first, Mr. Hargrove, how are you doing today?
Perfect time. Perfect time for the playoffs to get going. I have been these last 2 weeks of the NBA season they felt like 2 years, so very excited for that. Masters was incredible. Rory tips the cap, finally getting a green jacket. That was one of the most beautiful scenes. Just him finally, and all the hype videos. Nike made a commercial for
What?
Rory that was a tearjerker.
Nike makes all the other companies look minuscule. Like, Steph Curry is one of the greatest non-Nike athletes to ever exist. And Under Armour has done maybe the worst marketing job that you could ever imagine. And Nike puts out a commercial maybe less than 30 seconds after Roy, clinches the Masters, and it was a beauty. Yeah, I mean, they've had that ready for 11 years.
Yeah, and obviously I'm excited that he won, but there's always been this dark cloud over his head as far as finally getting a Masters win, because I don't want to say he's choked, because I don't
You can
want to
say
say
that.
I don't want to say that about somebody who he's won majors before, but there have been instances where he definitely should have won, and then Sunday comes and he just doesn't do well, and then somebody will, and I can't believe he missed that putt on 18,
They're
and they
trying to
had to
choke it
go
away
into a
this year.
playoff.
Yeah. Listen to
So
the text thread, because I may have thrown a little bit of cheddar on Rory to start the Masters on Thursday morning. May have woken up at 6 a.m. to gamble, which is, it may be a problem, but who knows. So this text thread on Sunday, right after it ended, did you see Rory? And I go, yeah, watched the whole thing, had money on him. He goes, he tried to choke it away. I then said, probably the most I've cussed at a human being in quite some time. The fact that he laid up on whatever hole that is, it's a par 5, I think it's 16, laid up and hit a 120-yard wedge shot in the creek, which is baffling to me that you could miss it. He's going for the middle of the green. He hits 30, 15 yards right of his target, ends up in the creek. That takes him back. And then he has a heroic shot, uh, 8-iron that he tells to go, 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 lands 2 feet, gets that putt, 18, puts himself in the bunker, another wedge shot, 120 yards and in, ends up in the bunker, hits a great bunker shot, gets it to about, I'm not good with golf yardages. I'd say it's a 6-foot putt, I don't know, and misses it. And you think to yourself at that point, he's got no confidence at this point. Like, how can you? That was your chance to win. He might have just blew it. He thinks it's gone. Comes back on the playoff hole and just birdies 18 and right again. Has the exact same shot and does the right thing this time. But it was good. It was good to see. Good for Rory. Grand Slam complete.
yeah, the only thing I hate about it, and this is kind of this is a selfish thought, but he's got all the majors now, so it kind of feels like in the end of an era, because he has nothing left to prove. So, and that's kind of always been one of the biggest storylines of the Masters, really, for the past decade. Is is Rory finally going to get a green jacket? And now he finally has one. So, in like in a weird way, I obviously I love that he got it, but it's kind of sad because it does kind of feel like that's the end. Obviously, he's still a amazing golfer, and he's going to be around for, I mean, I would say at least 5 years. I mean, he's still 35, and obviously, golf is golf has no. Phil Mickelson's still doing it, and he's in his 50s,
Golf is
and
weird though, because you have to have a Fred Couples swing to last till you're 60, which is like nice, smooth, easy. Roy's is very like he gets a lot of power, a lot from his legs. Like it's an athlete now more than ever to play golf. Like Bryson won't be playing when he's 60 years old, swinging the way he does. So it's definitely shifted more towards there's a cap to the years that you can play in golf. But yeah, I understand. It's like it's a whole new book now. It's not just chapter closing. It's like you close the book and now
Yeah,
we've got to open a whole new one.
yeah. So, but yeah, it was awesome. Um, yeah, good for Rory. Now
And
NBA
then
playoffs.
right after that, we got to the NBA, and here we are. We during the Masters, the Warriors played the Clippers to see who was going to get um, the 7 seed playing game versus the 5 seed versus what would be the Nuggets at that point. 4 games going on at one time. 3 of them were blowouts. This was the only game that really mattered at the end of it. It was tied going to the fourth quarter, and then the Warriors get it to overtime, and then they just couldn't close it out in overtime. James Harden, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, by the way, quick thing, looks healthy. And I know we do this all the time because Kawhi's always hurt, but this isn't like he's trying to force himself to play on a bad knee that you can tell like, oh, he's playing and he looks like somewhat Kawhi, but he's not fully there yet. This is like he looks kind of dangerous, which is very scary for everybody in the league because when Kawhi is 100% healthy, it's kind of incredible how good he is. I mean, he carried a Toronto Raptors team to a title who couldn't get past LeBron in the East. And then he, was the LeBron stopper, quote unquote, in San Antonio during his year. So a healthy Kawhi is a very scary moment. Even when he was his last year in San Antonio before the Zaza closeout, I mean, he was looking like he was going to destroy the Prime Warriors back in the days. Could get interesting in that series, but let's start with the play-in. 2 games going on tonight, actually, as of recording, Tuesday night. The Warriors and the Grizzlies will play tonight, along with, I believe it's the Magic and Hawks. I'm sure everybody's going to be tuning into the Eastern Conference side at 7:30. Any predictions? Anything that's exciting you in this play-in? Obviously, Kings
Yeah.
Mavericks.
I mean, you know me, the play in, I have my thoughts about it. I'm not a big fan. And it's because, I've said this a couple of times. It's because I think a problem with the NBA regular season is because we do have the play in. It's because it really does not matter. I mean, yes, the 10 seed is going to have a lot to do to get into the playoffs. But my gripe about it is, why does the 10 seed even get a chance to get in there? Like, reason for the regular season is it's supposed to, if you have a great regular season, you're rewarded with this special moment, which is the playoffs. And now it just feel like we're giving that to pretty much, we're giving it to, like, I mean, 20 out of 30 teams make the playoffs, technically, because I consider the play in a playoff. So that's just not right. But
Well,
anyways,
now that we're past the regular season, this is the time where we can enjoy the play-in because while it doesn't seem like it's a big game, this 7-8 game is actually the biggest game of the playoffs, I think,
yes,
like
yes,
until we get to like the Western Conference Finals, because it can determine everything. If the Warriors were to win as the 7 seed, they get to go play the Rockets in the first round instead of going to play the Thunder if they were to lose this game
yes,
and win the next. Like that, it is a
yeah,
huge difference between the Rockets and the Thunder.
100%. That, like, not saying that one of these two teams will definitely beat the Rockets, but I definitely think
The
the
chances
Warriors
are
and the
much higher.
Grizzlies, they have a shot at upsetting the Rockets. Both of these teams have no chance against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So this game, I hope, and I mean, it should be really intense, and it should have a Game 7 feeling because, and when you think about it too, and I said this on the podcast last week, for Golden State, you get into a matchup. If you win tonight, you get into a matchup with a young Houston Rockets team. You have Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler has experience being an 8th seed, upsetting the Milwaukee Bucks, upsetting the Boston Celtics, getting to the finals with an 8th seed Miami Heat. Steph Curry is Steph Curry. I don't hate the idea of them beating the Rockets. And then if you get to the semifinals, you're going to play either the Lakers or the Timberwolves. Again, I'm not saying they would beat one of those teams, but Now, I do think the Lakers beat the Timberwolves in that series, but I don't think it's impossible for Minnesota to win, depending on how, if Anthony Edwards plays like he did last postseason, they definitely have a shot. So, thinking of like if there's an upset there and then the Warriors beat the Rockets, Warriors, Timberwolves, or even Grizzlies, Timberwolves, I definitely think the winner of this game, like it's a narrow route, but there definitely is some light to making a push to the Western Conference Finals, and that is why this is probably the most intriguing playing
Easily,
game that we've had since
ever.
they implemented the that style for the
Well, because think
postseason.
about it. The Bulls are always in it. The East never really matters in playing because when you get to that, really when you start getting to like 6, 7 is when you're like, who gives a shit about the East? It's always top heavy. It really is. I mean, I love the Pistons. I love the story of the Pistons this year. They're a 6 seed and they play the Knicks. Do I hope they can beat the Knicks just for fun? Yeah. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. However, you get to like the Magic, the Hawks, the Heat, the Bulls. Like Bulls, the Hawks had a good run a few years ago in the playoffs, but they've been pretty mediocre to below average since. The Magic, they were up and coming last year. They were actually a 6 seed last year, I believe, and they've somehow fallen off a little bit since last year. They played the Cavaliers. They did take them to 7. They only won home games though. They still have yet to win on the road. Very young team. Um, and Bulls Heat are somehow in the play in every year. I feel like the Bulls have been. That's a fact. They've been in every single play in for the last 6 years, and the Heat have been either an 8 seed or pretty low the last few years. So that side never really intrigues me. Kings Mavericks doesn't really intrigue me as much as I love the Zach LaVine Anthony Davis matchup that we're gonna get. You know that team I think will
Well,
eventually
it would be really intriguing if obviously Kyrie was playing.
that would make the next game intriguing. To whoever loses the 7-8 game between the Warriors and the Grizzlies, if the Mavericks were to advance, and because the Mavericks, a healthy Kyrie Mavericks would be an interesting test for OKC in the first round. That is
Well,
a
that's the thing is like I understand like everything that Dallas has gone through. I want to at least give them. I mean, obviously, give them a chance to see what the healthy roster looks like and what they can do and what obviously the front office thinks that they can do.
yeah, and I mean, first game back, the first game after the trade with Anthony Davis playing, it was electric. Defensively, they were a monster. However, they don't have the offensive firepower anymore. Ever since Kyrie went down, so definitely underwhelming as far as what that matchup could be like. But let's start off with tonight. Mavericks. I'm sorry, Magic Hawks. My gut feeling is that the Magic are the better team. Hawks, really, ever since they traded DeAndre Hunter, have kind of been on the back burners as far as my concern goes. I just think there's too much length, too much talent on the Magic roster to outlast the Hawks. Trae Young is amazing, and when playoff Trae Young kind of gets going, he can be dangerous. But I think the Magic will outlast them in this one. And then on the other side, the Warriors Grizzlies. Uh, the way that this game will play out will feel like a game 7. Jimmy Butler kind of had a very good game against the Clippers, which kind of felt like a playoff game. But the bigger one was Steph. Steph in the fourth quarter and overtime just went off in that Clippers game. So that is a dynamic duo that it could get scary in the playoffs, and especially in a one-game scenario at home. I think the Warriors will pull that out, but it will be a good game for sure.
Yeah, I definitely it helps. It's always going to help, but trying to beat Steph Curry in San Francisco nowadays, it almost feels like impossible sometimes. Well, when he's hitting shots and then that place is rocking, it just feels like hell sometimes. Like
Still
you're
no
in
Oracle
basketball
though.
hell.
Oracle
Yeah.
was just like the perfect. I mean, the fact that they left Oracle Arena is still one of the biggest mistakes in my
Well, it's
mind. I
just
mean,
it's a shame in general what Oakland has has done to their sports teams.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
um,
you got an MLB team playing on a spring training field right now. So,
yeah, and then the
uh,
Raiders, like, and all those teams have some pretty good history. So, anyways, yeah, I think the Warriors do win this game. Uh, I think there is a lot of pressure on Ja, and he's still a younger player, but if the Grizzlies do win tonight and then they get upset by that Rockets team,
upset.
that feels like a setback. Or I don't know if it upset. I should Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't say upset because the Rockets would definitely be the favorite. But doesn't that feel like a setback for this Grizzlies team who a couple of years ago everybody was raving about, and they have these young studs, and then they can't even beat a young Houston Rockets team in the first round?
Oh, I think the issue with the Jaw situation, obviously we know the situation, but the problem is like everybody dogs on Zion for being out because of injury, but Jaw has missed almost as much time as he has, whether it be the suspensions or injury or like, and they're in the same class, and everybody views Zion as a disappointment already because he had so much hype coming in. But Jaw is reaching that point to where it's like he had one playoff run where it was like exciting and he had
I
to
mean,
play in.
not even. What was it? It was
I mean, it was the second round, but it was like they made that second round exciting, and they had a play-in game against Steph Curry where he hit the floater to put them in the playoffs. But like since then, it's been non-existent, and I, I I think anything that they do, I think this entire season is a setback, no matter what the outcome is, unless they go and beat the Rockets and make it to the second round. But even then, you're still stuck in that spot of how do we get better? Because we're not competing for a championship this year or next year with the roster we have. So what is the piece that we need to take us to the next level? And I don't know what that is. They're in a weird spot right now.
Well, something that's really hurt them is Marcus Smart being out, because when they brought him over, they really thought that was going to bring. They've already had an edge about them to their organization, but Marcus Smart, great defensive player. He's been to the finals, and he can kind of help those younger guys. But yeah, I just feel like if they get into that matchup with the Rockets, that definitely needs to be a moment where Ja needs to show that he can be one of those dudes, and he definitely people should have the expectation that he is going to take over in a close game in the closing minutes, not have it be Jalen Green on the other side, or even Fred Van Vliet or Sagoon. I mean, those guys are still 22. Like I said, Ja is still on the younger side, but he's getting closer to his prime. He's 25, 26 years old. So I definitely think when you talk about players who are feeling a lot of pressure in this postseason, I would maybe consider putting Ja Morant in the top five for that category of
I mean, that's a
guys
fair.
who I mean, say say they play the Rockets and then they get beaten like 5 games. That would be even worse. Not even competing with them. I mean, if you're the Grizzlies, where do you go from? Where do you go? I
Well,
mean,
and so obviously my thing is like if the Warriors win and they play the Rockets, and we'll figure this out again tonight. I mean, this will be minute by the time this comes out. But the thing is like the Warriors Rockets series would be much closer to pick for everybody. I think majority of people would pick the Rockets over the Grizzlies in a heartbeat, and I don't think the youth matters as much in that series as much as it does in the Warriors series. So I think Rockets would win in five against the Grizzlies, but I think it'd be a 6 or 7 game series with either way in the Warriors series. Maybe that's just a fan of me. I don't know, but when you talk about pressure in these playoffs, and we can go across the board. You talked about Ja. I'm going to talk about another guard. I think Donovan Mitchell has some of the most prep. He should have the most
yeah.
pressure in these playoffs, simply for the fact that he hasn't gotten it done on any team that he's been on. And this is the year where it's like you're the number one seed in the East. You've beaten out the Celtics. You won, what is it, 64 games? You went 64-18, which is insane. I mean, the
Yeah, I
Thunder
was.
almost won 70 games this year, and you were 6 games behind them.
That's the thing. Real quick, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like the Thunder and the Cavs, like when you think about the season the Thunder had,
They're
they were
4 games
only
away from the record. Or yeah, 5 games away from the record.
5 games back from that Warriors team.
Yeah.
I just feel like maybe that's not being, or I'm just not seeing it when I go on ESPN or I'm
Well,
looking
no,
at
because
at
God
the
forbid we
news or
talk
something
about
like that.
anybody but LeBron on ESPN, or Bronny for that matter. I think Bronny's got more airtime than the amount of Cavalier wins that I've ever seen on ESPN. So I think Donovan Mitchell has the most pressure as far as he's never gotten it done. Even in Utah, he couldn't get past the second round, I don't think. Um, and then, of course, the 2 years with the Cavs. I mean, the Orlando Magic with second year Paulo took him to 7 games last year. So in the first round, so it's like I need to see something out of the Cleveland Cavaliers to make me
Yeah.
believe that they're a title contender, and
Well,
this needs to be the year
this is definitely the best team that he's ever had in his career.
easily.
I would say there was one year which is definitely something I've never forgotten, unfortunately, about Donovan Mitchell, but it was when they were in the Western Conference semis. I want to say it was 2021, and they played the Kawhi Leonard less Clippers in the semifinals. Definitely should have won that series. They ended up getting beat, but they were on a collision course for the Phoenix Suns in the conference finals, and that was kind of like I feel like the first moment where everybody was like, Donovan Mitchell might not be that guy. So if he really doesn't get it done this year, well, I guess how far does he need to go in
I
your
just need to
eyes?
see him at least to the Eastern Conference Finals. I need him to at
Yeah.
least play the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals for me to believe that he is a number one. He has
So
to prove to me
they're the one seed,
they are
uh,
the one seed.
and so they're gonna play either the Bucks or the Pacers.
Well, they'll play yes in the second round if they get past the first.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
And
all
the
due
Bucks could be
respect.
without Dame still, like because Dame's dealing with blood clots, which we'll talk about that series here in a minute. But it could be a Pacers team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, or it could be a Bucks team with or without Dame, or maybe Dame just coming back. It could be a semi easy path to getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. So
I still think even if Damian Lillard comes back or they do have to play the Pacers, I think it doesn't matter what team they play. If they still don't win, there still should be some criticism there
it
for them
is deserved.
because
You win.
they are Bucks. They have Giannis, Pacers. Yeah, they're a good team, but they're not. Even if the Pacers were to win that series and make the Eastern Conference Finals, I don't think anybody. It's kind of same as last year. Nobody's going to give them the benefit of the doubt to actually making a run.
I think anybody that almost wins 65 games in a season should be criticized if they don't make the conference finals. I think that's fair. If you are a 1 or 2 seed and you've dominated all season and there's been really nobody else that's come close to you in the Eastern Conference except for the last year's champs, then there shouldn't be a question whether you should make the Eastern Conference Finals or not. Obviously, you have former NBA champions that you're going to have to go through, like Giannis, if they beat the Pacers. So, there's still a shot to where you have one of the easiest routes to the Eastern Conference Finals. If you don't get there, then it's a disappointing season in my eyes. So that's why I would say Donovan Mitchell has some of the highest pressure in this year's playoffs. But how do you want to go about this? Do you want to start in the East and stay over here? Or do you want to kind
Yeah,
of
it's
flop
fine.
back and forth?
That's fine.
Kind of talk to me about these. We'll kind of go into the Pacers Bucks series since we're on that topic already. We did kind of mention Damian Lillard with the blood clot situation. Seems like he will be out for the beginning of the playoffs. We'll see if he's able to come back during this series at all. It's such a weird injury. I don't really know anything about it as far as whether it deals with him or Wembanyama or any of these dudes that that kind of get this situation. I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to speculate. Even if Damian Lillard does not come back, though, can the Bucks win this series?
I got a question for you, real quick. When is Giannis's contract up? Is it coming up soon? Because my thing is, if the Pacers win this series, there might be some really tough conversations that need to be had for that Milwaukee organization.
So just looking at it, because I'm pretty sure he signed that extension 2 years ago. It looks like he has a player option in the 2027-2028 season.
Okay,
Heading
so
in-
that, I mean,
heading
he's
into
still
that
two
year.
more
So-
years.
Well, yes, yeah. So he's got 2 more years fully left on it before he can make a decision whether he wants to stay or not.
And I think
So, but-
I think Damian Lillard has 2 more years as well.
They're kind of on the same. This kind of feels like the last ditch effort for the Bucks to try to get another one. Because I
Like
don't
if
know
they
if
don't
Giannis is
get
going
one,
to stay.
yeah. If they don't get one, including this year and then the next 2 years, probably
Yes,
gonna blow it up. I don't know.
I'd even say next year, just because you don't want to wait till that final year on that contract before you start moving these guys, because then you lose value. If I'm Milwaukee and he's 30, if he's 31, 32 by the time we get there, and we haven't got there yet as far as back to the finals.
Well, he's 31 right now, but I think this was his age 30 season. So yeah, he's going to be yeah. So my gut feeling in this series is the Pacers. It comes down to the last couple of years I really haven't trusted Milwaukee. And as much as I love Giannis and he's going to be probably a top 5 player in the MVP voting this year, right?
It should be
Top 5 in MVP voting. I don't maybe put him on the level of a guy like a LeBron or Steph, where it doesn't matter what roster he has. With LeBron in the past, there's been some rosters where I'm like, he'll get past the first round. It doesn't matter what he has. Giannis, I think, is a little different, even though he has the championship. And this Pacers team is so sound. Halliburton and they're a very underrated team. They're just like it's weird. They're a good team, but they're just not elite. They just don't have those guys to put them over the top. But they're a very sound team. They play hard. They're pretty solid defensively. They have some dudes off the bench. I had a ton of fun watching T.J. McConnell in the postseason last year. He was a menace to society. And then Pascal, Miles Turner, really good defensive center. I really like the Pacers as far as getting past that first round. And I think without Damian Lillard, and especially with the trade to Chris Middleton, because I do not trust Kyle Kuzma in a top 3 player role. So my gut is telling me that the Pacers get past Milwaukee. And I guess that would be an upset, right? Because Indiana's the 5 seed.
Technically, it would be an upset. And I do kind of want to go back because I think we kind of glossed over the fact that this team, I believe it was the in-season tournament last year, in the 2023 season, where they had like a brawl, and they faced each other three times after that, and couldn't stand each other. While most of those guys might not be still there, or it's a little different team aspect, there's still a lot of the same guys like Giannis and Halliburton, and I don't know if Pascal was there at that time, but a lot of these guys still feel that, so it could get a very chippy series on the Eastern Conference side there for that 4-5 matchup. I think my prediction is that Dame won't play this first round. Like I said, I don't know anything about the injury, but the way that it seems like unless it were to go to 7.
I'm pretty sure they recently came out with a report that said
I know they
he
said
is out.
I don't know if he's out the whole series, though. I think he said he's out the beginning of the playoffs. They kind of just left it open-ended as far as the one that I saw. There could be a different one out. But even if he doesn't play, for some reason I want to lean towards Milwaukee, even though there's no data points that tell me that that's the way I should go. That's just more of a feeling. Um, and maybe because he's been there and done it, I just trust Giannis in the playoffs more. But I would say I would lean towards the Bucks. Give me the Bobby Portis um, bench role coming off and providing a big spark for the Bucks. But it really is a toss up, and it kind of doesn't really matter because I don't think either of those teams can beat Cleveland. Um, I think the Bucks will get that and maybe get a healthy Dame back for the second round, hopefully, unless he is confirmed out for the playoffs. But we'll move on to.
Last thing, I do think it's 7 games. Though I think
You
this
do think
fourth
the
one
game?
comes. Yeah, I think we end up getting a game 7.
Okay. That it always seems to be the Pacers just love game sevens, I feel like. Or at least these types of matchups just always feel like, you kind of get these toss ups. Because I don't think the Knicks Pistons will go 7. I don't think Cleveland and Celtics will have a 7-game series anytime soon. Even though
Yeah,
on the
that'll
West
be.
side, like that might be the only game 7 in the first round that we see.
I think. Well, we haven't gotten over
We'll
there.
get to the
Never mind.
West, but
Yeah,
we'll start off with the how big of a chance do you give the Pistons to beat the Knicks?
none.
Really?
0%.
Haven't been there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's over in 5.
Wow.
Yeah, this Knicks team, I know they kind of lack depth, but I think they have a significant advantage with the starting lineup and the experience. And I think Pistons. I can see where the Knicks go up like 3-0, and then in a game 4 at Detroit, they're able to win one. They come back to New York, um, but hey, you called it. You should be proud of this. The Pistons making the playoffs. Cade Cunningham was your guy at the beginning of the year. I remember the preview podcast that we had. You loved him, called him an all-star, and here he is leading the Pistons to a 6th seed, which probably nobody had them being a top 6 team in the East.
Not even me. And here's the other thing. I kind of did well with predictions this year because I did say the Rockets were my sleeper team. I did have them going from not a playoff team to pretty much a top 5 seed. They're at number 2. And I did say Cade Cunningham was the most underrated player at the time in the league as far as I think he's a superstar caliber player. He kind of showed that this year, and I don't want to say drug this Pistons team, but willed them to a playoff series, which they have not seen in quite some time, or at least one that is semi-competitive. We'll say that. They've probably seen a lot of 8 seeds back in the day that nobody thought they were going to win, but shout out to the Pistons. I do think it will be over quickly. And then we'll get into the next round as far as the Knicks go. But anybody the Celtics face, anybody the Cleveland face, doesn't matter. It'll
Yeah.
be sweeps or
It's
gentlemen's.
unfortunate for Orlando because they've been hurt by injuries this year with even Paolo and Franz at the beginning of the season. It's just been a frustrating year because they were so good last year, and then they really had a hot start to this regular season. They were towards the top of the East, and then Paulo and Franz went down, and that just kind of hurt them. Now they're going to have to end up playing the Celtics or the Cavs, and as much as I love them, there's no way. Uh, which they did take the Cavs to
They
7
did.
games in the first round last year.
They did.
So
But they would have to lose tonight's game and win the next game to be able to
yeah.
play that 1 seed. But
Well, who knows? Maybe they'll
lose on purpose.
Maybe they'll maybe they'll call the G League team whatever they're called.
The
What's the
McClellan.
Orlando? Is it the Washington Wizards? Is that the G League team for the match?
You're on
That
one
was
today.
rude. That was rude. Who knows? Maybe they'll have a contest. Maybe they had a contest or something. Win a trip to where they play in Atlanta and be part of the Magic starting 5.
Well, unfortunately, the Magic probably will get it done tonight. However, they will have to play the Celtics in that first round, and
I
most
would love
likely
to
get
see
swept.
their social media accounts. You know, when you lose a game, they just say final. I would hope I would hope that if they win, it just says final, and it's just
Just
Magic
treat it
won
as a
by
loss.
30, off to Boston.
Um, all right, let's move on to the more important side, the side everybody, at least in the first round. Like I said, the East is top heavy. First round matchups really thrive in the West. I guess we'll start off with the 4 or 5 seed because that's where we went last time. Obviously, Thunder have the 1 seed; they get to play somebody from this play, and it depends on how it goes. But I think we'll confidently say whoever that is, they will sweep them and or gentlemen sweep at the very least. Um, that 4 or 5 seed Nuggets Clippers. Let's get into it. Interesting matchup. How do you think the Clippers try to compete with Denver?
Well, they definitely have to, like every team that plays the Nuggets. They have to make a decision. Do we want to double Nikola Jokic, or are we going to play off of him? Now, in the past, it's never worked. Either way. I would say this year's Nuggets team, it would work a lot better to double team him. Just because they don't have the shooters like they have in the past, and they don't have the depth, especially when Russell Westbrook is in there. It all due respect to the future Hall of Famer, I have watched too many Nuggets games where Jokic and Westbrook will be on the floor. Jokic will be posting somebody up. They come for the double team, and it feels like there's a trap when the Nuggets are already down a man, when it feels like it's 5-on-4. So now I have seen, at least I saw from ESPN, there was an article that came out. It might have been on ESPN Plus, but it was all the ESPN basketball analysts. They were picking their winners for the first round matchup. I believe there was 8 of them. 6 of them picked the Clippers. I think that is ridiculous, and I think a lot of it has to do with the trend. The Clippers have Kawhi Leonard back. They're kind of a surprising team. James Harden was an all-star again this year. And then everybody has every reason in the world to hate the Nuggets. I still think Denver wins this series, not convincingly, but I think there's no way that it goes to 7 games. Zubac has had a career year. I understand that. But we're talking about the Denver Nuggets, who they have never lost in the first round. And Nikola Jokic is
Under
not let's say that. Say it
under
again.
Michael Malone.
Under Nikola Jokic. And
Uh
Nikola
huh.
Jokic
Interesting.
is not losing in the first round. I don't
Okay.
believe it. I love that Kawhi Leonard's healthy, but I am not fully convinced that he's the Kawhi Leonard. The Kawhi Leonard. Got to see him in a postseason setting. So I understand Clippers, they got some scoring. I still like the Nuggets in this one.
Well, I'm gonna be the person that you hate the most and
Give it to
say
me.
that I think that the Los Angeles Clippers will take Denver to 7 games, and I think that you're gonna hate this. A Norman Powell game 7 is upon us, and he will take over in game 7 and put up like 35 to kind of break Denver's heart. And here's the only reason I say that. Obviously, we know Kawhi Leonard, if he's healthy, is one of the greatest players in this generation ish. Um, James Harden is having an All NBA season. Yes, he's still one of the most liable people on defense that you can have. Um, but Kawhi and others make up for that for the Clippers. That's kind of how they design the team. Can Zubac even remotely do anything with Jokic? Obviously not. The game plan for Ty Lue is going to have to be um, very important. However, I do think Nuggets have the best player. Clearly, the Clippers have a better coach. I mean, we don't have to argue that. That's a very obvious thing. We don't even know. We don't
Well,
know.
they have a coach.
Yeah, yeah. they have a coach that they clearly trust in a little bit. I think Norman Powell's the X factor in this series, only because obviously you've got the stars. You've got James Harden, you've got Kawhi, you've got Jamal Murray, you've got Nikola Jokic. Who's that third guy? Is Michael Porter Jr. going to step up this year? We hope, though. If you're a Nuggets fan, I think Norman Powell is kind of ready for that. I don't know. It just feels like the Clippers are clicking at the right time. They're getting healthy at the right time. They have the better bench. The signs kind of point in their favor as a 7-game series. Now, if you were to ask me who's going to win game one, I would tell you Denver. But it could be a very interesting series, and I think in my opinion, that was the only game that was going to go 7 in the first round. I get your Pacers Bucks event, but I do think, and maybe that's disrespectful of me, for what should be
No, I mean,
the MVP.
well, the thing about it is I understand it, but I think the trend right now is just to hate on the Nuggets because, and I get it because a lot of bad things have happened, but I
But the
still
trend
think you got
also
to.
is the the record of the Warriors since Jimmy has been amazing, but the record since Kawhi has come back for the Clippers has also been just as good. And while James Harden is not Steph Curry, but Jimmy Butler's not Kawhi Leonard. So there's still that, you know, if Kawhi is Kawhi, whoever he's guarding is not going to have a fun series, and it could turn into a Jamal Murray kind of shitting himself, kind of like we saw in Minnesota last year when they pressured him nonstop and he couldn't get the ball up the floor. So,
Well, that's what that's what I was gonna say. Kind of the final remarks on that series is, and this has come down to every series for Denver. If Jamal Murray hits shots, the Nuggets are going to win because everybody else usually does their thing. Jokic is going to put up his numbers. Aaron Gordon's going to play well. Christian Brown's going to play well. Michael Porter Jr. is inconsistent, but it's never really, in my opinion, never drastically like hurt them. We saw it in Minnesota, but if Jamal Murray is showing out, then it's really hard to beat this team. So I was thinking about the defensive matchups actually last night.
I was trying to think,
My
do they put Norman Powell on Jamal Murray?
So this is what I was thinking was Zubac is going to guard Jokic. If I'm Ty Lue, I think you got to put Kawhi Leonard on Aaron Gordon. And Kawhi Leonard definitely can guard Aaron Gordon because he's guarded bigger guys before. And the reason why is because Aaron Gordon, one of a very sneaky thing about him is he is so big in the post. And when he gets one on one with a smaller guy, it's pretty much 100% that he gets a mid range or he just backs him down and dunks on him. And I was thinking about the other two forward defenders. I don't, if I'm a Clippers fan, I do not like Derek Jones guarding Aaron Gordon. And it's not because of the height, it's because of the weight. I think Aaron Gordon will be able to distribute a lot more weight on Derek Jones and kind of feast on him. And
I
then I
also
think,
think Derrick Jones is a better matchup for MPJ if you're a Clippers fan.
yes, yes, because of the length. Because
Yes.
MBJ is going to stay around the perimeter,
Yes.
and that's what he's going to do. So, and Norman Powell's smaller than Kawhi Leonard, so that's what I would do. I would have Zubac on Jokic, Kawhi Leonard on Aaron Gordon,
And
Derek
James Harden
Jones,
on
and
Christian
then
Brown or something.
James Harden on Christian Brown. Now, Christian Brown, this might be his series because he is definitely, I don't know if he's going to win it. He's definitely in the conversation for most improved player this year. He's averaging about 16 points per game. He's a great rebounder, great defender, and he shot like 40% from three this year. So the key to this series actually might be Christian Brown because if he's going off and able to drive on James Harden and create open shots for his teammates, then that might be a really big problem.
Not only that, but
Espe-
if he just cuts and makes James Harden's life a living hell as far as chasing him around, pretty much act like you're Steph Curry and make James Harden chase you around until he can't anymore. At least try to slow him. That'll slow James Harden down
yeah,
offensively, because the matchup I'm worried about is the Clippers offense versus the Nuggets defense, because the Nuggets notoriously are awful defensively. And you think about it and you go, well, James Harden, he's probably going to get guarded by, you would say, Christian Brown. And you would say Jamal Murray is probably going to be on Norman Powell. And then you would go, well, does that mean that we're going to throw MPJ on Derek Jones Jr. and
yeah.
Aaron Gordon on Kawhi
Kawhi
Leonard?
Leonard.
Which is a tough matchup for anybody, let alone.
It,
And
it
Aaron
is
Gordon
it is a tough matchup, but it does favor the Clippers because Jamal Murray, for the NBA level, is not a good defender. So whoever that's probably
that's why I think
what the
Norman Powell's
Clippers.
going to have a go off in this
Yeah,
series.
that's probably like whoever Jamal Murray is assigned to, that player is going to have a good game. Now what scares you about the Clippers is, as good as James Harden was, he's known for being, or not having, he has the ability. He has the ability to win you ball games, but he also can shoot you out of a game. He shot 41% from the field this year. So there's going to be a tough conversation for the Clippers if James Harden is getting blown by like Christian Brown and then he's chucking up shots and missing them. What does Ty Lue do? Does
Very
he go
true.
to the bench? And then if he brings in like a Kevin Porter or somebody
The
else, does that hurt Kawhi Leonard because now you can double team? So
Correct. The
uh,
only way the Clippers win this series or even compete in this series is if James Harden has a great series. That is the only way. Kawhi can do it all he wants, but if James Harden's getting blown by and taking up, 40 shots a game and not getting foul calls because it is the playoffs and he's reliant on that free throw line, it could get ugly if you're a Clippers fan.
okay, so last thing I'll say on this series, and I want the record. Everybody listens to this podcast. Ryan Gooden, I would say throughout the time that I have known him, I'm confident in saying this, that you are a James Harden hater. That you
I
have
hate the
been.
word hater. I am a realist.
Realist. So what I am hearing is you do think James Harden will have a good series. Because
Yes.
I want the record to know that Ryan Gooden does think James Harden
My
is going to
prediction
play
is that
well.
James Harden is a better offensive player than Christian Brown is defensively. I think while Christian Brown is great defensively, I think James Harden's offensive ability is unmatched to what Christian Brown can provide.
Okay.
And I
I
think
tell you what, because I've been so pro Nuggets this year, if they do lose in this first round, I will not talk about the Denver Nuggets for a year. We will not discuss them
6 months.
for 6 months.
Let's do something realistic. I mean, come on. We won't talk about them in the offseason. We won't talk about them in the draft. We won't talk about them.
We'll forget that they're a franchise.
Yeah, for 6 months.
We'll go through our NBA mock draft and we'll go, and with the 20th pick, I mean that one got skipped, 21st.
Not only that, but if the Nuggets win and it is convincing, I will wear an I Love James Harden shirt for at least in public. I don't know. You'll have
Just
to take a picture
get
of me.
a James Harden t-shirt, jersey. It doesn't have to be Clippers either. It can be like a Thunder.
Houston. Yeah. Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Or Houston, yeah. A little Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. That's a fun one.
Sixers.
Yeah. No,
There's a lot of them.
I've never put my faith in James Harden, and it's always worked out for me. And I'm doing it for the first time this year, and I don't really know why. But especially in the playoffs is really what I mean. But I don't know. Something about this just feels like a Norman Powell, where you're like, why is this guy going off?
Yeah.
In a series like
now,
this.
I will say, it was so early in the year. I mean, we're talking like October.
When everybody was hurt.
One of the first games of the year, Norman Powell went into Denver and looked like Michael Jordan. It was
I was putting bets on
insane.
Norman Powell to hit 45 points in the NBA games consistently. I was doing that every night, and it hit a few times. 40 points, 45 points, 35 was almost a guarantee. When James was out or when Kawhi was out, I mean, he was getting the bulk of the shots for the Clippers, and he's got the shot making ability. And now that you're the third option on the team, and you're getting guarded by maybe one of the quote unquote worst defenders on that side of the ball, that's not Michael Porter Jr., it could be a field day for Norman Powell over there in the corner.
He's an NBA champ too. So
And he
respect to
is
the
Toronto.
champ. Toronto.
All right, let's get into it. Lakers, Timberwolves. Kind of go a little quicker on this one.
Hey, real quick, I know that bothers you, but like it is what it is. But I know that bothers you. Like Warriors should have won that year. I mean,
Was that necessary? I don't know if that was necessary.
I was just
For you to bring that up.
Well, I want to support a friend.
Well, I don't know. You could have just left it alone. That'd be supportive, Now I'm going to cry on a podcast.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you wanted me to bring it up. I was just like, I know that probably rubs you the wrong way just thinking about that series because if KD plays, they probably win.
Yeah.
So
and if Steph doesn't get hurt, or Clay doesn't get hurt, then
Clay, it doesn't like you're probably going in Game 7. So like
maybe, who knows? And maybe my life isn't a disaster after that 2018 season. But and my graduating year was a little.
Yeah.
Nobody can feel bad for me. I don't know why.
The Warriors, you never know. Warriors have a good team this year. Maybe they'll win this year. It's been a while since they've won. So
I hope the Nuggets lose in 5 games.
You've gone through some a lot of heartbreak over the last.
I get
decade.
it. I have seen a lot of championships. I get it. My teams have won. I'm very blessed. #blessed. However, I just want one more. I can't get.
You know what? I actually never like it. It actually makes me mad. And you might feel the same way. And it is because our teams, we for both of us, we have seen a lot of winning for our teams. I would say, but both of us are very blessed because you got Golden State, so you've seen a dynasty. You're an Eagles fan, which
got 2 of those.
You got 2 of those. So
which before that was never. So
Warriors have 4.
That is correct.
Right. You've seen 4
in my lifetime.
4 finals, 2 Super Bowls, and a World Series because you're a Cubs fan.
Yeah.
And then I've seen...
And a national championship because I live in Kentucky.
So...
I sound like an asshole. I realize that. However, there's reasons for all of it. We won't get into it. We know whatever the first episode. If you want to go see that, go watch it. But you've seen quite a few in your time too, Mr. Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, Sox, Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Steelers, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm saying like, there's probably people who are like, oh my gosh, you complain, like what is
Shut
wrong
up, Benjamin
with me?
Rollins.
Well, what's wrong with me wanting my team to be good every year? What's wrong with holding guys who make millions of dollars accountable? You know what I'm saying?
Because some people are fans of the Wizards, so they don't get to have that luxury of holding anybody accountable when they make millions. I think Jordan Poole's making $30 million or some crap, and the Wizards.
I would assume they hold him accountable. I don't know. I feel like Washington sports radio. If I listen to it, I don't know if they're.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're having conversations of, do we need to lighten up on Jordan Poole? I don't know if they're having. I don't know if they're leading radio segments with that.
Right.
But anyway, Nuggets in 5.
Fair enough. Okay. I got Clippers in 7. Timberwolves, Lakers. I don't think this will be much of a series. I think JJ Redick has a game plan against Anthony Edwards. He will force Julius Randle to take. He don't even have to force him. He'll just let Julius Randle have the ball, and Julius Randle will take the worst shots you can possibly imagine. He loves Kevin Garnett twos. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. It is a foot in front of the 3-point line, except in Julius Randle's case, he's already so deep. He's already so deep that he'll take a step back long two, which is maybe the worst shot in the history of basketball.
That is insane that you said that, and you might have said it because you saw there was a Kevin Garnett. There was a
Yeah,
Kevin Garnett video that I
yeah,
saw today, and it was all highlights. It might have been 3 minutes straight of KG catching the ball behind the 3 point line. He takes a step in and drills it, and it is one of the hottest things that I've seen
yeah.
watching basketball highlights. I think there's three things that I would religiously watch: mellow mid-range highlights. Uh, I would say SGA causing fouls. I love that. The ability, the ability. I actually clipped some last night. The ability to squirm inside the lane and then
Jump into
pivot
someone.
towards pivot towards the defender, mastering, and then KG with his heel on the 3 point line jump shots are my three favorites. But that is hilarious that you said that. All right,
Yeah.
continue.
Well, so anyway, the game plan for JJ Redick should be get the ball out of Anthony Edwards' hands as much as possible and force Julius Randle to beat you. And I can guarantee that will not happen. And Julius Randle might have a great series numbers wise, but they will eventually lose a series, probably 4-1 in a 5 game series. I don't think people keep talking about Rudy Gobert being effective this series. I don't know if you've ever seen Rudy Gobert in a playoff game. Yes, Jackson Hayes might have his work cut out for him, but I don't know if we remember just 1 year ago when Luka Doncic made Rudy Gobert look like a buffoon in the paint there before he hit a step back three in his face and then proceeded to yell and probably curse in Slovenian at him. Don't know if that's a language, by the way. Just kind of roll with it. And that was a year ago, and here we are, Luka Doncic on the Lakers, and we're not expecting JJ Redick to put a pick and roll with whoever Rudy Gobert is guarding and make them switch every single pick and roll and get Luka one on one with Rudy Gobert and just go make a play, because that's the entire game plan, what it can be for the Lakers. And I'm sure there's more in depth reasoning and there's more in depth game plan that JJ Redick has, but just an outsider who doesn't know anything about basketball looking in, I could go put Rudy Gobert on an island one on one with Luka, and then on the other side make Julius Randle get the ball and like make him take the shots instead of Anthony Edwards. Double team Ant if you have to at half court. Get the ball out of his hands so that Julius Randle can be taking tough twos for the Timberwolves team. And I think it's a short series. Lakers win in 5.
I love the Lakers. Luca, LeBron. There's just a different vibe.
Notice how I went through that entire thing. Like I could go through that entire game plan and series and didn't mention LeBron could sit the whole fucking series for all I care and they would win in 5. They don't even need him in this one. It's just like take a rest. You're 40 years old. You deserve it. You had a great season, LeBron. Clap it up. You can
Yeah,
sit down this first round and let Luka cook Rudy Gobert for 6 games straight, 5 games straight, and let's go home.
yeah. Yeah, like I said, I love this Lakers team. I really have for the entire year, especially when they got Luca. But it might just be me. I feel like LeBron is playing happier. Like he looks ever since they got Luca, there is a different motor. And I really do believe that it's because now, all due respect to Anthony Davis, nobody took that team seriously. And it's just because Anthony Davis is not that guy anymore who can take you over the top and just kind of take over and win the championship. But Luca can. He's a top three player in the league. So I kind of get that vibe. Austin Reeves has had an unbelievable year. He's really turned into a go-to guy. Hachimura. I've always really liked Rui plays hard. So, yeah, I really like this Lakers team. Timberwolves have kind of been all over the place. And shout out to Stephen A. Smith and ESPN because Stephen A. said on First Take, and I know that's crazy for I know what you're thinking.
Crazy that this podcast is shouting out ESPN and Stephen A.
I
Smith.
know, but Stephen A. Had a really great stat that I did not know on Anthony Edwards this year. Only averaged 19 points per game on 40% shooting against the Lakers this season. So I know it's regular season, but maybe the Lakers, maybe JJ Redick figured out something against Anthony Edwards. So yeah, definitely like the Lakers in this one. I don't know about 5. I think, when Minnesota's playing at home, that place is rocking. So, but definitely not 7. Definitely not. But I could see it possibly going 6 games if
That
Anthony Edwards goes off.
Yeah, maybe if Luca gets run over by a train and his leg breaks, and then if LeBron has to go back home because something happened in L.A. and then it was just
Well,
Austin
yeah.
Reeves versus Minnesota, then maybe I can see it going 6.
Well, no. I yeah. If, for example, if Luca gets run over by a train, he
Well,
most
use the same
likely
analogy. Yeah,
he most likely is dead. So that takes that takes them out for the series, and then if LeBron has to go back home, then you're just relying on Austin Reeves. So yeah, I mean, like there's a lot of ifs. I just said one. If Kevin Durant didn't, get hurt, then the Raptors would have won. Yeah, if Luka dies and LeBron has to go back home, probably the Timberwolves win in 7 games. But considering right now that Luka and LeBron's healthy, I'm going to go with the Lakers.
I might change mine to a sweep after that unserious conversation. It's not even gonna be close. I don't know why we keep rotating back to it. Timberwolves what a backwards move to trade Cat. It's so stupid.
And we both said that when it happened. I
Made
remember
no
we had the
sense.
podcast and we were kind of like, but you know what the reasoning was is
That 2029 draft, that 8th grader that they saw coming up out of the draft. The number 1 ranked 8th grader, 29
I did go
pick.
see him play though. I did go see him play. Marty Short was phenomenal.
You better watch out when you say you was go watch an 8th grader play basketball. Go ahead.
No, we're done.
Okay.
But yes, I remember that podcast. But the reasoning was, if I can remember correctly,
they couldn't pay anybody.
Well, they couldn't pay anybody, but they had a decision whether to go with paying Cat or paying the young guys. And right now, it doesn't look so hot because Naz Reid is still a good player, but I still have had my doubts on. I don't think he's going to turn into the player like Cat. Good.
I don't think he ever was like. I don't know where all this came from. He was a great 6 man. He he's a great bench player. If he was your first guy off the bench and he's a big, it's a fantastic role for him. I don't see him becoming. I mean, he could be a starter somewhere, and we said that last year, but I don't think he could be Cat. People always hate on Cat and they call him soft.
Timberwolves thought,
but he's a 25-10 guy. Cat is like on a team that doesn't
consistently.
Yeah, on a playoff team, like that doesn't happen. And now you're seeing it in New York. They have a whole different style of basketball in New York. It used to just be Jalen Brunson pick and roll every single play, and now it's like we've got a guy we can go to, whether it be on the perimeter or down low, and it's kind of changed the dynamic of their team, even defensively. So it's very very interesting move. Timberwolves going backwards. They'll see that when they lose in 4 or 5 in this series, 6 in some cases. And finally, we'll talk about who we think is going to be in the finals. We can go Eastern Conference matchups if you want, or conference finals matchups.
Well, real quick, I do want to say I'll pick. I wanted to have at least 2 upsets in the first round, even though I feel like upsets are kind of rare in the first round of the NBA. But I feel like we kind of have seen a gradual increase in them over the past few years. So I had Pacers over Bucks. Want to go with the Western Conference one. I will pick whoever wins that game tonight because I want I want to like the play-in. I want to buy in, even though I hate it. So I will pick whoever wins that game tonight will beat the Rockets in the
Well, you know what the
first
worst
round.
part is that if the Warriors win tonight and the Grizzlies win the next game, you could have just left it the same, and the play-in would have never mattered because it'd be the 7-8 series, the same way that the rankings are now. The 7 Warriors would play the 2 Rockets, and the 8 Grizzlies
Yeah.
would play the 1 Thunder. So if that's
Some
how it
would
played
say
out,
it's
then
stupid.
some would, and
So,
some would agree.
but
However,
anyways, yeah, if well, it's not stupid if the Grizzlies. I apologize. It's not stupid if the Grizzlies win because I have them winning in the first round, and I definitely wouldn't pick them over the Thunder. So there you go. So I think the Warriors are going to win though. So I'll go with the Warriors to upset the Rocket.
okay, um, I'm actually I'm torn because obviously I want to know what the game tonight's going to happen. If the Warriors win tonight, it's going to be a very tough decision. If the Grizzlies win, I think Rockets win in 5 or 6. I do think that the Warriors makes it a 7 game series, 6 at the least, and that's either way you go. I do think there's a good chance the Rockets could win. I don't want to seem like we're hating on the Rockets and just picking against them no matter who they play, because I do think they are a good team. They do have some veteran leadership. They've got a NBA champion on their team, Fred VanVleet. So they've got a guy who's been there and done that. I just think the rest of the roster, the guys that you rely on, are too young for this moment if you play a team like the Warriors, where Draymond Green's going to be on Sengun and giving him hell in the playoffs, and Jalen Green's going to have a rough series if Jimmy Butler's going to be guarding you, and it just could get uncomfortable at times. But I do think the Rockets are a very good team, so I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to
No,
end this
I'm not, I
podcast
don't want
without.
to disrespect them either. I just when I look at like the possible upsets, that's the one
It's
that
an
I could
yeah,
see.
it's an
It's no
easy upset pick.
disrespect. I will
Last
say
thing,
if the Grizzlies do win, that series will be cinema. Dylan Brooks and I mean he makes people mad, and that Grizzlies team sometimes they have a short fuse, and yeah, it'd be great.
could get a very. You might see more fighting than you do see baskets in that series.
It'd be awesome.
Last thing, do we see the first ever 3-0 comeback this year? We've almost seen it more often than not in the last few years. The Heat the Celtics almost came back 3-0. They made it a 3-3 series. We're up in game 7 and then blew it. I forget, was it the other way around? Was it the Heat that were down 3-0?
No, the Heat went up 3-0. Heat went up 3-0. Celtics
Celtics
won three
came
straight. And man,
up in game
I
7.
was fully convinced
That was
that
the year.
Boston was going to come back because, they had the whole Yankees Red Sox thing in 2004. I mean, overall they had the better roster. So
They were the
that's why
one seed.
it was so stunning when they went down 3-0. Game 7 back in Boston, I was fully convinced. But then I think I want to say 5 minutes in, Jason Tatum sprained his ankle and wasn't 100% for the rest of the game.
That
And
is
then it
right.
didn't even it turned out playing close. One of the Martins, do they have both the Martin twins
Was
on
it the
that Heat
Martins or
team?
the Morrises? Because I always get them mixed up with the Heat.
No,
Martin
it was the Martins.
It was Caleb Martin on that
Caleb Martin, I
team.
think, went off. He
Cody
was
Martin.
playing off the bench. He might have dropped like a 25 or something in that game. So
Yeah, ugly jumper.
but no, I don't think it'll happen. Not this year.
Fair enough. One of these years it will, though, and I'm going to be there for it. We've seen it become close the last few years as far as teams being down 3-0 quite a bit and then having some fight towards the end. So it does feel like there's a chance now to where we could see the first ever. But Mr. Hargrove says not this year. So who's your conference final matchup going to be on the east side?
My conference final matchup on the east side will be. So I got the Cavaliers playing the Pacers. I'll go with the Cavaliers. Too talented this year. I think Donovan Mitchell finally gets to that spot. Getting DeAndre Hunter really put them over the top for me. I love that move. He is so underrated. And then I've I've gone back and forth with Boston and New York. I do love the way that New York plays, but that Boston team is they're going to go down as one of the teams of this decade, and they're just too good off the bench, and that is one thing that New York really struggles with is the depth. And I've tried to kind of protect them from it. I've we've had conversations where I've loved the Knicks this year. I really do love that starting five, but going up against that Celtics team, gut feelings Boston. So yeah, I'll go chalk since the upsets didn't happen for me in March Madness. I'll go the 1 and the 2 seed, and it'll be Cleveland and Boston.
Nothing wrong with that. I think you're right about New York. I think if New York didn't get screwed by the Cavaliers winning 64 games instead of the Celtics, I think I would pick New York to make the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh yeah,
If they had to play Cleveland, simply for the fact that that starting five is probably the best starting five in the league. I mean,
possibly.
you've got versatile guys everywhere across that lineup. Like you said, though, the problem is Tibbs will play them 48 minutes, all five of them, every night, and then wonder why in Game 6 they're deadbeat tired by the third quarter and can't get up and down the floor. So Celtics will outlast them easily in that, and then I'm with you on the my would be Bucks Cavs series. I think DeAndre Hunter has sparked that team to be an Eastern Conference Final contender. Now, do I think they can get it done against the Celtics? No, I do not.
Yeah,
I think the
Boston
Celtics
in the
are
finals again.
too deep. Yeah, Boston's too deep. Even if their star players don't play well, like you could have Peyton Pritchard drop 25 on you, and you don't even blink. Like the way they can get hot, especially at home, it's otherworldly. So give me the Celtics in the East. It's a chalk pick, but they are the 2 seed. That is an upset.
Yes, it is.
Western
Now,
Conference.
will that be the odds though? Probably
No,
not.
they'd be favored by pretty heavily. Western Conference, who do you got? Because I know you've got Denver beating the Clippers. So if they were to play the Thunder, what does that matchup look like, and who's going to get to the Western Conference Finals?
It's the Oklahoma City Thunder. Nuggets just depth wise, they don't have it. This Thunder team has gotten better, and it's just been a weird year for the Nuggets. And I would be kind of shocked if they did beat the Thunder. So I'll go with OKC, and then I have the Lakers and the Warriors. I still really do like the Lakers, especially having the home advantage. So I'll go Thunder and Lakers, and this is gonna make old timer basketball fans really happy. But Thunder got better from last year. But the way I think of it is, and you disagree with me with this, I do think this Lakers team is better roster roster wise than what Luca had with the Mavericks last year. So that's the way that I
I don't
look.
disagree. I mean, he's got
Oh,
LeBron James
I
on his
thought we
team.
had a conversation where I brought that up and you weren't a fan of it earlier in the season. But like the way that I look at it is, yes, the Thunder got better, but Luca also got a better team. So I'm going with the Lakers to beat the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, and we have a historic Lakers Celtics final that will feed the families. And Adam Silver would love that because all the talk this year has been NBA ratings down. If you get a Lakers Celtics finals with LeBron James, Celtics trying to go back to back, it will be the most watched finals, in my opinion, since I would say probably Cavaliers and Warriors.
Warriors. Yeah, that's a scolding hot take, and I like it. And I think that if that were to happen, if the Lakers were to play the Celtics in the finals, then the NBA draft lottery ping pong balls would just be pinging and ponging all the way for the
they would be
Spurs to
pinging
get the
and
number
ponging.
one pick. I think the Spurs would get the number one pick just because the major market teams, they just need a boost sometimes. And if you just give Victor Wembanyama Cooper Flag, this league would take a turn on its head, and every major franchise, you'd have the Warriors up there, you'd have the Spurs up there, you'd have the Lakers, the Celtics, everybody would be
Welcome back 2005, if that happens.
It is the greatest major market sport that there would be. There would be no other teams that
we might actually have
baseball.
to put the Wizards in the G League if that does happen, though.
Just assign them to
Just like, hey guys, it's just not your century, so 2100. Let us know what your thoughts are, and
sending
we'll
32-year-old Chris Middleton to the G League that's a tough look.
It's tough. It really is, but so
So I kind of copped out. I kind of copped out on the Warriors Rockets. The Warriors fan in me is never going to pick against them. The ego in me thinks that my Rockets take was so good earlier in the year that I should pick them. I'm kind of torn between it. I am finally going to decide, and I'm going to hope that the Warriors win, but I'm going to say that the Rockets beat the Warriors, and that is not the upset that we see. I think the Lakers obviously beat the Timberwolves. I think Thunder is going to beat the Clippers fairly easily. I think the Lakers will beat the Rockets, and that's kind of the whole plan they had, was to get that 3 seed so that they could play the Rockets.
Yeah.
I think this is the Thunder's year, though. I think they are.
I mean, they're special. I
said it earlier in the year, I hate comparing teams, but when the Warriors were young, they just had that feeling of like, oh, not only can they win a bunch of games in the regular season, but when the playoffs come, they've got a guy in Shea and Steph, but then they've also got guys that you just like. Jalen Williams does not get talked about enough, and him as a number 2 option it's unheard of how good he is after what he was when he was drafted. I mean, he was not a highly touted draft pick. He has developed his game steadily over time to become a number 2 option on a championship team, which is very hard to do. And people still don't really talk about him. Not to mention you've got the torture chamber. You've got 2 bigs in Holmgren and Hartenstein, so whichever one's not playing well, you can put in the other. They've got role players out the ass: Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe. They are a well-built team, and they've also got draft picks for the next 8 years to come. So they're forced to be reckoned with.
What are the odds that Kevin Durant comes home?
I've thought about that so many times, but I don't even know if they win this year. If they don't win, if they lose to the Celtics in the finals, I think there's a chance they go after them.
To make a move, I mean, you can make a move with all the draft picks and keep Chet, Jalen Williams. You're going to lose some depth, but it's not like you'll still have guys.
You could give up Aaron Wiggins and 2 draft picks, and I think you'd get them. Because the Suns are they're in handcuffs. They have no leverage whatsoever.
That team would be, oh my gosh, Shea, Jalen Williams, KD, Chet Holmgren, and Lou Dort as your starting 5.
Yeah, it's gross to think about. But
anyway,
they could also trade all 8 picks and get Cooper Flag if they wanted to. I mean, shit, they could kind of go whatever direction they wanted, young or old. But I do think the Thunder will lose to the Celtics. I don't think it's quite their time yet. Celtics go back-to-back. Who do you have in that Lakers-Celtics matchup?
I'll go Celtics. As good as the Lakers are. You know what? For shoots and giggles, I'll just go Lakers. LeBron gets his 5th ring and solidifies. What'd you say?
Do you think he retires? If he wins a ring, does he retire? Does he go out on top?
You would have to. That would be.
Imagine not getting a full Lucas season.
That would be. I think maybe the greatest story. Like like top three stories in sports. If LeBron won and retired, I don't know.
Think
I
about
don't
that
know.
year. The beginning of the year, your son gets drafted to your team. The first game of the year, you get to play on the same floor as your son on the home floor for the Lakers. You get a top three player traded to your team. You go win the championship and you retire at the age of, is it 41 officially?
41, yeah. It's his age 40 season, but he's 41.
And you retire on top of the game forever. And there's not really as much of a debate anymore, I think, after that.
Oh yeah, so you think if he were to go on an insane run and
I think
win
there's
this year,
no
you
question
would
you
have to
could.
put him over Jordan.
Yeah.
There would be some really, there would be some really tough combos.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would feel like, like Tom Brady when he won that one with the Buccaneers. That one, it would kind of have that same feeling. The LeBron one would be harder this year, but like when Tom Brady won that Super Bowl, it was one of the most unbelievable things I
And it was
think I've
against
ever
Mahomes.
watched.
So imagine LeBron doing it against Tatum, who's been to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh yeah,
Aside from that Miami Heat year, what, 7 out of the last 8?
yeah.
So
And that's why, like I said, it would be maybe the most watched final since the Warriors Cavs days, is because you do have that. You just have so many storylines. Lakers Celtics, Lakers trying to go back to back.
Celtics
The
trying to go back
Luke
to back.
the Luka story. Oh my, oh my gosh! Like even if they won, Mavericks fans, yeah, it would.
The last
It's
time
it's
the
a
last
dream.
time the last time
It's a
Tatum
dream.
played LeBron was Tatum's rookie season, so it'd be, what is it, 8 years later,
Yeah,
or five,
yeah.
8, 7 years later, and LeBron got dunked on by Tatum, so LeBron would dunk on Tatum in that series. Like it's
It
just
it would be,
took him to 7 when he was a
man.
rookie. Can he get it
People be
done now?
clearing their schedules to make
Imagine that.
sure.
Imagine the narrative of, well, Jason Tatum took LeBron to 7 games as a rookie, and then you come back with, yeah, but LeBron beat him at 41 years old in the finals.
Yeah, tough.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. That's a storybook that you just wrote that Adam
Yeah.
Silver's gonna be.
Well, I'm just trying to think of the documentary. How are we going to end the LeBron documentary? And I think it's
That'd be a way.
game 7 at the Garden. LeBron gets it done.
If it was Game 7,
LeBron
oh,
looks up, sees the confetti, looks to his right, it's his teammates cheering, looks to his left, it's his family. And then it's just a shot of LeBron James in the middle of the court. Fade to black. That's it. I mean,
wow.
that's
He
what we're looking
hugs Bronny,
at. Yeah,
and then
hugs Bronny.
and then on the other side, it's Bronny when he was like 4 years old in his arm, and then it shows him on the court by himself, and it fades.
Or the speech at the end.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Oh.
The speech at the end is something like, it'll probably be kind of cheesy. We can make it better, but it's like, all right, LeBron, like, what's next for you? And
I'm
he's
going
kind
to
of just
Disney.
thinking. He's kind of thinking. Well, he could say that.
Oh, okay.
Thinking, and then doesn't say a word, and then that's when it fades to black, and then we roll the LeBron James retired at yada yada yada, or we fade to black and says LeBron James played another 20 years in the league. He still plays for the Nashville yada 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 or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Either
then,
way, storybook. Before we fade to black, though, and before we get to the NBA championship where he's hugging everybody, there's got to be a montage from when he started in Cleveland and
oh my
go through
gosh,
the
yeah.
years, and it's just dunks. Everything is dunks of him just like slamming on people from age 18 to 41, and then it ends in him in a championship, and then we go through.
Yeah. They're gonna lose.
The minds are
first
working
round
over here.
now.
We wasted
They're
15
gonna get-
minutes.
Oh my God, Anthony Edwards! I cannot wait to wake up one morning and listen to like Bill Simmons or Ryan Russillo. and they're just like, I cannot believe Anthony Edwards averaged 50 points per game in this sweep against the Lakers.
We'll post a clip and we'll go viral for the wrong reasons. Like these two fucking idiots, they
Look at these
they just
LeBron. Look at these
yeah can't say
LeBron.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, DSs is what they're meant. All right, let's get out of here before we get in some trouble. But next week, I mean, there's gonna be playoffs. You know what the hell's coming. We'll see you then.